and welcome to MoveCo Live. My name is Samantha Moonsammy Gordon, and I'm so happy you're here. I have the pleasure today to speak with an Olympian, Segun Makinde. How are you doing today?
Great, Sam. How are you doing? Thanks again for having me. It's a big honor.
Oh my goodness, we're so excited. You know, here's a guy who's going to keep it real for us guys. Thank you so much for signing in today and listening to our show, MoveCo Live. As you know, we created this during the pandemic to still find ways to stay connected since we can't see each other in person. We're connecting this way, and we value all of your support, and we hope that these episodes help you live your best day, give you that little extra bit of motivation, because we all need that little something to just get us through our days. Or maybe we're going to hear something today that's going to 10x your life. And I just have so many questions for Segun, and I can't wait to get started. And he's one of our speakers at MoveCon this year, and he's going to deeper dive into the conversation. But today we're going to have a little chat with him, and I want, in case you don't know who he is, let me introduce you. So Segun Makinde is a two-time Olympian, keynote speaker, athlete council member, community ambassador, podcaster, and three-time international medalist. He believes that being an Olympian is more than just going to the Olympic Games, and uses his unique perspective combined with 13 years of high performance and Olympic experience to positively impact and inspire individuals and organizations to achieve the mental breakthroughs they need to do what they think is impossible by tapping into their own inner Olympian. Segun remains active in his own hometown as a community ambassador for Christie Lake Kids and serves as a member of the Athletics Canada Athlete Council as a way of giving back to the community and his sport. And you're currently preparing for the next Olympic Games. Which one is that?
Yeah, Tokyo 2020. I guess 2021 now. So fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's so exciting. Thank you so much for being here. You have so much knowledge to share with us. And let's just jump right in there. Like, let's hear a little bit about you. Like, what would you say are some obstacles you face, and how do you overcome them?
Oh, well, that's a great question. It's funny because I think I'm a hurdler, and so one of the things that I do, technically is I go over obstacles like every single day, like actual barriers. And so, I kind of just equate that to what everybody's kind of going through right now. Everybody, I think, is facing an obstacle. COVID-19 is a really big obstacle for a lot of us, a lot of people. And, I think one of the biggest ways to getting over obstacles is in the approach and how do you approach it. And it's approaching it from a positive standpoint and a standpoint that, you can get over it at the end of the day. That's really like at the most basic level is, yes, it's an obstacle, but, we all have the ability to get over it if we approach it the right way.
I like that. It reminds me of something I always say, like, this moment, it will not always be like this moment right now.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like be in this moment and understand that this too shall pass.
Exactly.
So I love that. How do you bounce back after a tough failure or loss? Can you give us an example?
Yeah, sure. So I kind of, relate everything back to my training and track. And again, being a hurdler, crashing and hitting hurdles, 42-inch barriers, kind of unforgiving, especially when you hit them and it hurts, right? And it's painful when you hit hurdles, and it's painful when you experience a quote unquote failure. But I think, again, it's in the approach and using it as a learning experience. If I do hit a hurdle, or if you do hit a hurdle, it's in a way, it's kind of showing you, okay, this is something I need to work on, right? So that I don't have to experience this the next time for the next hurdle, right? And it's a really good way if you approach it again from a learning standpoint, in that you can always get better. You can always get over the next one. I think that's a really good way of, learning kind of how to bounce back, especially after you hit a hurdle or after you, quote unquote fail. And looking at failures as not being failures, just more of learning opportunities. Sometimes painful learning opportunities, but painful learning opportunities nonetheless.
I love that. In our house, we say, growth opportunities. So
Yeah,
saying,
exactly.
I love that so much. Thank you. It's so inspiring. What is the key to a strong mindset, Segun? How do you do this? What do you tell people?
The key to a strong mindset. the key to a strong mindset, I feel, and something that I share a lot, is in showing up, and showing up consistently, and not only, for what you're trying to do, but also I think more so for yourself, right? And it's like, again, it's, going over a hurdle and an obstacle. There might be times where you may hit it and you might not get over it the first time, but then you show up for yourself again at the line to go over it again, to try again, right? So you keep on showing up for yourself, and the more you show up for yourself, the more confidence you build, right? And the more confidence you build, it kind of strengthens that mindset that you can do it. And the more that you believe that you can do it, the more willing you are to attempt that you can actually do it, until you actually do it, which gives you even more confidence because you did it, right? And so it's this kind of circular thing that keeps on going. But I think the biggest thing and where it starts is, having the courage to show up for yourself in that moment.
I love that. And you're right, that can relate to anything. I just got a ding ding of like healthy eating or just doing exercise. I mean, you're 10xing it, you're training every day. But for us, like everyday folk, just thinking about like getting out of the house, like, because I work from home, I live from, I live at home. I was like telling my husband the other day, I'm like, I only leave the house like an hour a day. Like, this is so strange. And I'm walking, like I'm going out and I'm walking. You should see me in the kitchen. I'm doing planks or jumping
Yeah.
jacks here and there. Like, I'm just trying my best to like show up for myself, because I was starting to feel like something's not right. Like, because you're right, my body's not moving the way it used to because I'm not out and about, right? So it's such a simple message, but it's so important, like I feel like we should have a yellow sticky note that's like on our mirror in our bathroom that just says like, yeah, everyone, like Spoon says, like, show up for yourself. Like, that is key. And you're right, no one else is going to tell us to do it, right? I mean, when we're young, I guess our parents are there, but that's not always going to last forever. And it's such a good, actually, all the things you're saying so far, like I have a 20-month-old son, and I just feel like it's so relatable, like it all is it, and it's so inspiring. So thank you so much.
One thing you said that was really, real quick, I'll touch on real quick. You said that I thought was really interesting. And it's like showing up for yourself. And like you said, it's showing up for yourself looks different for different people, right? And so for you, it's doing things when you can, how you can, right? For somebody else, it's going to look different. So that's really key, though. It's still showing up no matter what, no matter how it looks like for you. So that's really good.
I love that. Yeah, I think, listeners are going to listen to this, and you're right. They're really going to, something's going to alert them like, okay, this is how it's relevant to me. Which goes to the next question. We all face this once in a while. Like, what techniques and what can we do to step out of our comfort zone?
So it's tough stepping out of your comfort zone. Again, I think it ties back into showing up for yourself and having the courage to the courage to do something that you might not have normally thought you would do, right? And so it's a matter of having the courage to, in a way, change and think a little bit bigger than you would normally think possible for yourself.
And what's that been for you?
For me, so mine's a little bit of an extreme example. And so as a hurdler, we have like essentially either go over the hurdle with your left leg or your right leg. And so for a long time, I was a left leg lead hurdler. And I made a big change in my training and my coaching. And I moved from Ottawa to Toronto to come train with the coach in Toronto. That itself is a big change for a lot of people who, grew up in Ottawa to come down to Toronto. And so that was a big change. But the biggest change happened when I met my coach, and he said, you've been hurdling wrong. You need to switch from your left leg to your right leg. And you can imagine the change, right? It's almost like someone telling you you've been writing with your wrong hand your entire life. Now I need you to write perfectly with your opposite hand, right? And so that was like a really big step outside of my comfort zone because, the Olympics technically are, not too far away. And so to make a really big change like that and to have the courage and to trust my coach, my new coach, right, that he knows what he's talking about, that was a really, really big change for me to step outside of my comfort zone. It was really uncomfortable. I didn't feel capable. I didn't feel like I could do it. But here we are now, and things are going pretty well. Yeah, fingers crossed that they go incredible in a couple of months. So
Oh,
yeah,
no, that's a very good example. Like that's a big one for sure. So I'm trying to think of what I've been doing to get out of my comfort zone. And I think for me, this project of MoveCo Live was bringing me back to my roots. I have a communications and I have a traditional television background. So doing
mm,
this was a little bit of my out of my comfort zone because I think I always wanted to do it. So I just said, kind
yeah,
of like what you said, it's just show up for yourself and just do it. And I think because I like to shine the light on others, like that's just what kept me going. And I was like, okay,
mm,
it's not just me talking, it's
yeah,
I get to connect and share like our network. And I thought, okay, that's what helps me show up. So I think
mm,
we all have our different whys. So
yeah,
that was mine. So thank you for sharing yours. And I think for me, anyways, the word for 2020 has definitely been resiliency. And, how do you face that when it's head on in all directions? So how do you develop resiliency in the face of adversity?
yeah. And so I think how I develop resiliency is a combination of everything that we just talked about showing up for myself on a daily basis, about stepping outside my comfort zone and kind of facing those challenges. And the more and more that I face those challenges, it helps me to develop the resiliency to handle what's going to come up next, right? And handle the next challenge and handle the next challenge. And just like hurdles, right? Once you get over one, you can get over two. And if you can get over two, you can get over three. And before you know it, you're over four, you're over five, you're over six, until you're quote unquote finish the race, right? Until you achieve the thing that you want to achieve, or you've gone through or passed through the kind of situation that you're dealing with. So it's a combination of kind of everything that we just talked about, but living it again on a daily basis and trying to do that from the inside out, I think is really, really the biggest thing. And that's kind of how you tap into your inner Olympian at the end of the day.
Uh, you're right. It's true. And what would you say is the biggest key to building confidence?
Yeah. And so the biggest key, I think we touched on it a little bit, but I think the biggest key would be showing up for yourself again. Showing up for yourself, and showing up for yourself looks different for everybody, like we discussed, but it's just having the courage to show up for yourself day in and day out. And the more you do that, you start to build confidence and competence. And funny enough, once you start to do that, people start to then come to you, and that helps you build more confidence because now you seem competent in the eyes of other people. So it's a kind of like this circular thing. But again, I think it starts with showing up for yourself and what you.
Oh, I lost you there for 1 second at the end. It froze. Oh,
Oh no.
it's my no, it's my internet connection. That's okay. No, you were just saying, yeah, showing up for yourself. I love that. I mean, this whole talk, you really, I find you very grounding, and you've got this inner confidence. So, like inner confidence, inner Olympian. Can you bring me back a little bit? We didn't talk a bit about your story. Like,
Mm,
I mean, now you're an adult and you can articulate all this, but I know that for many of us, like this starts at a child in like at a childhood stage where like you're just kind of like either hungry or curious. Like, can you tell us a little bit about Segun when he was younger before he was a hurdler? Like, did you know that this was your journey? Did you feel that inner Olympian spark in you?
absolutely not. No way.
Are you
I
sure?
think
Tell me.
I think for sure I had always been maybe competitive, but maybe not like this. I think what happened was that this is just an expression maybe of being Olympian and all these things is just an expression, like you said, maybe of something that was in me that I didn't know was necessarily there, right? And so as a kid, actually, funny enough, especially being a Nigerian and being kind of in a way, a first generation immigrant from Nigeria to Canada, you end up facing a lot of different things as you're growing up, especially as a kid. A lot of them not good, right? A lot of tough situations, and so I think for me it was like I want to have a big impact not only for myself, but those around me who don't have to feel like I kind of felt, and also for myself, I have two younger brothers and a family, and I want to be able to impact them and also impact the generation that's going to come up, after me. And so who would I need to be to do that? What would I need to do in order to do that and accomplish that? And I think that's kind of how it started, for me, I guess, as a kid, kind of growing up and then trying to flesh it out in a way. This is kind of, I guess, how it kind of fleshed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very similar. So I'm first generation. I was born in Guyana, and with
Okay.
two, we came to Canada. But
Yeah.
what you talked about, like I laughed to myself because I kind of know what you're saying. Like, so it's like having immigrant parents in Canada,
Yeah.
it's almost like you're teaching them like
Yeah.
culture and life because you're going to school and you have friends and this whole school thing, and then they came from a whole different world, and you're that bridge that kind of binds
Yeah. You're that
you.
middle ground.
Yeah, so I laugh because there's so much of that, but you and I share something in common, which I think a lot of um, young people do who come from
Mm,
a similar situation of immigrant parents. There's this spark in us of gratitude of just knowing that like we're here, like we're in Canada,
yeah.
and like really like my possibilities are infinite.
Infinite.
Um, and I didn't want to waste that because
Yeah.
I knew that my parents worked really hard to get me here. And
Hmm.
even if they didn't say too much about it, like you could just feel it and that
Hmm.
spark. So I think your parents getting you to Canada, like probably sparked that inner Olympian a long time ago. And maybe I can say the same thing, like that there's that fire inside of you of like, there's something more. And, for you, I mean, the journey continues for all of us,
Yeah.
but I just want to say like in the climate, in the world that we live in right now, like it's just so inspiring to see like a leader like you because you're just extremely inspiring. And how do you feel about that, like being like me putting you kind of a bit on the spot here and
Yeah.
that, but like there's just been a lot in our society that we've just been through, and yeah, like do you feel any sort of like personal responsibility or legacy you want to leave in terms of like leadership and inspiring young people?
Yeah, I mean, those are really kind words that you said to me, so thank you very much. um, but yeah, I think I do want to, leave something for, like I said, the next generation. It's very humbling to be in a position like this, and I think at the same time it carries a lot of responsibility, and part of that I think is kind of where the inner Olympian kind of comes into play because it is that, like, I think we all know of Olympians who've gone to the Olympics, but haven't been, I guess, quote unquote Olympic or Olympic, worthy, I guess, if that kind of makes any sense. You know what I mean? And so and that's where the whole thing is like, I don't think you need to go to the Olympics necessarily to be an Olympian or to have that type of impact, right? It starts within you in terms of what you do and then what you decide to do with that. And it carries a lot of responsibility if you choose to do it. And so I think that's kind of where I'm coming from in terms of, yeah, it is a big responsibility. I know that there are people who are looking at me, kids, adults, everybody. The eye is on me, right? The spotlight is on me, whether I like it or not. At the same time, in a way, I've kind of chosen it, and I am just hoping that I do the best with it that I can to impact, a lot of people, for the better, I think, and then help them do the same for, you know, others around them, and kind of hopefully I kind of start like a ripple effect type thing. So, yeah.
I definitely think you are, Segun. This whole concept of the inner Olympian, you've really taught us today. It's not just about going to the Olympics. Like, I think it's absolutely amazing that, you're out there on the front lines doing your hurdles and doing your thing every day, but that's definitely not relatable for the rest of us. But what you said today did, like about, just standing up for ourselves, showing up for ourselves, like just being the best. You've given us some really tangible, simple ways to just be the best version of ourselves. And I just think that that's so inspiring. It's a topic that's relatable. I think from like, yeah, the school age to the corporate offices. You have a very special gift here, Segun, of just leading. And I could definitely listen to you all day, and we can't wait to hear you speak again at MoveCon. And yeah, what's my final question? What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's a really good, that's a wow. What's the best advice I've ever received? Got some good ones up in there. I'd have to probably give it on the spot. If you're asking me on the spot, I'd probably have to give it up to my dad. And my dad told me two things. And the first one was, he said, start small, dream big. So that's something that's always stuck with me no matter what.
Mm.
Start small, dream big. And so, again, it kind of doesn't matter where you, it kind of doesn't matter where you start from, just start, right? Start small, dream big, but you got to start, and it's okay to start small, right?
Yes.
So that was, I think, the first thing. And then the second thing was, we used to watch CBC Sports Saturday. That used to be like our Saturday morning cartoon. So maybe that's where kind of that whole sports thing kind of came in for me.
Yes.
But my dad would watch it with us. And one time we were watching a race, and one of the runners fell, and he just stayed on the ground and didn't get up. And he was way ahead. But, if he just would have gotten up, he would have finished the race in like either still first, second, or third. And my dad, he's like, you see that? And he said, all you have to do is the faster you get back up, the less people know that you fell in the first place, right? And the faster you can just get back up and continue on your race, or just continue on, life in that sense. And that's something that's always stuck with me too, in terms of if you fall or if you make a mistake, if you fail, get back up as quickly as possible, and it will almost be like it never happened, right? And so the longer you stay down, well, then the longer you'll be down. But the faster you get back up, well, then you're back up as quick as possible, right? And so I think that's probably some of the best advice that I've gotten.
My goodness, your dad is very wise, and you are a wise human to be. Yeah, just remembering that. I love it. For me, it is surround yourself with the people who will lift you higher. It was just
Yeah.
something that I heard Oprah say years ago, and Segun, you're one of those people here today at MoveCo Live. And I just think, yeah, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. I'm definitely leaving. I'm feeling really super pumped now. I just feel very inspired and very alive and grateful. So thank you so much for this talk, and can't wait to hear you speak more. And I want to say a big thank you to the Green Beaver Company, because they actually power up this whole show. So in the show notes, you're going to get how to connect with Segun. So maybe you have an office leadership training team, and Segun would be a great talk, or, invite him to a next event. I know he does a lot of keynote speaking and training. And then in the show notes, I'm also going to put a 25% off coupon code for the Green Beaver. If you haven't checked out that Canadian company, they are amazing, doing some great things for us and the planet. So Segun, I'd like to say a big thank you again. Super grateful for the time.
Thanks
And
for having me. Appreciate it.
you're welcome. And for everyone else, take care, stay safe. And until our next MoveCo Live, I'll see you then. Bye for now.